I came home, and I had a roommate with me. I was on this side, my bed was here, and he was on this side. So I'm there, probably looking at something on the computer or whatever. Usually when you get incoming, that voice comes on. Incoming, incoming, incoming. This time, nothing. All you heard was boom. And it was like, I was like, dude, is that us or is that them? It's outgoing and incoming. And he was like, I don't know. And then we heard another one, boom, trailer shakes. I was like, oh my God, these are close, dude. We gotta get to this bunker. And he was like, yeah, let's go, because I am not trying to be in this trailer when a mortar hits. So, because it's really thin metal. If you ever knocked on like a truck metal, like in the back of a flatbed, it's like really thin. We get up, we get dressed, I'm going outside the door. The bunker's like, dude, like from me to you, that's where the entrance to the bunker is at. And my door is right here. We come out, and as soon as we get to the side, right there, dude. And the crazy part about it is when the mortar blew up, the first thing in my mind that I thought about was that this looks nothing like the movies. I thought, because in the movies you get like a big fireball and it's so. This was just. It was just sparks. It was just sparks and dust. And then I had pain in my ankle. And then my roommate had pain in his stomach. And I was like, holy crap, I just got freaking mortared. I was like, we gotta get in this bunker. So I'm pushing him now. I'm like, we gotta get this bunker, we gotta get this bunker. I'm pushing. We can't see because it's dust everywhere. Like I said, the fine powder is all in the air now. Now we got like a mini dust storm going on in our little area. And he gets in the bunker. I can't see. I run straight into the bunker. It hits me in the forehead. The big concrete block because I forgot to duck because I'm a little bit taller than the bunker. I don't know why they made the bunker so freaking tiny. But yeah, I ran into it. I get into the bunker. And people know we just got hit. So the other people are coming into the bunkers. And they see him. He got little holes on his stomach here. And I got blood on my ankle going down to my shoe. And I have blood dripping down my nose and down my face. And people are freaking the fuck out, dude. They're like, oh my God, they're about to. I was just like, what are y'all talking about? And I felt my forehead and I was like, oh dude. Oh, I was like, no, don't worry, that's okay. I ran into the bunker. I was like, don't worry, I'm okay. It's just I just ran into the bunker here. And I was like, I'm not hit that bad, but I just got a little thing with my ankle. So they sent around the medical truck and they came over there and picked us up, and you know, they took all the metal pieces out of my ankle. And the next day I went out there and I could see the hole where the mortar went in. I could see the barbecue grill over there laying there. Nobody touched it. Like, I thought it would be like a team who comes in and inspects stuff and, you know, make sure everything is like good and things like that. But no, nobody touched it. It was just there. The guy who owns that barbecue grill, he always put it outside with the bricks, the big stone wall. We call it a T-wall because it looks like an upside down T. But he always puts it outside T-wall. The workers who come in our little camp and clean up the area, trash, do all that stuff, make it a little pretty, they always took his barbecue grill and put it on the other side. The guy hated that. It drove him crazy because after he got off work, he always wanted to barbecue a steak or a burger. This day, the fateful day where my life got saved by a barbecue grill, a Weber barbecue grill, the guy comes back from work earlier in the day than he normally does. He took the barbecue grill and put it back around the wall. I looked at the barbecue grill and the barbecue grill was completely Swiss cheese, dude. That's probably one of the only times where I literally got scared. Especially when I found one of the metal pieces that goes in these bombs. It looked like if you took a metal piece and you took a hammer, you just started hitting it all kinds of ways, and you took that and put it in the bomb. That's what's going through people. It's really jagged, ugly metal that's just cutting through people as it goes up. That was just a little too close to home, and that was my third time almost dying in Iraq without a weapon. My roommate, he was peppered, dude. He had like little small metal pieces all in his stomach, while I got saved by the barbecue grill, and it went under the barbecue grill and got me in the ankle. Oh, by the way, this happened 2 days before I was about to leave. It's because of complacency. Or bad luck. This grill has literally saved me and my roommate's life. Because if the grill wasn't there, there would have been, when the mortar hit behind the grill, it came up and hit the grill. And because of the grill is round, the metal went in it and shot out like this, up. And it blew the grill up with it. But if the grill wasn't there, we was free game. That was all us, man. So we got saved by a barbecue grill because a guy wanted to cook a steak. Oh man. Well, I grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina. You know, Fayetteville, North Carolina, I like to think of it as like a black hole. Like, once you're in there, most people can't get out. That's why I had to get up out of there. And it was like a nowhere to go unless it's military. So most people there go Army. I wanted to go Air Force, but the Air Force recruiter wouldn't come pick me up. So I had to call somebody else, and I called the Marines. And the Marine guy was like, yeah, buddy, we'll come pick you up right now. Within an hour, he was at my house. And as an 18-year-old, you know, you heard the Marines are crazy psychopaths. We're in the house, like, peeking out the window, like, oh, is he gonna come in here and, like, destroy everything, go crazy, illness and stuff? Which is totally insane now that I was a Marine and stuff, but it was awesome, to be honest with you, because I was always dreaming to leave the United States. Like, growing up as a kid, one of my main places that I always wanted to go was Australia. And for some reason, Australia was always in my mind as growing up. So I was always knew I was destined to go somewhere. I didn't expect to leave the United States totally. And they sent me straight to Japan. So I was excited, man. Anything to get out of the Fayetteville, North Carolina, you know, see something different. So thanks to Marines, people say a lot of things about the military and things like that, but it probably saved my life in the end, you know, because Fayetteville is a town that has a lot of drugs and shootings and things like this. It's like without the military, Fayetteville would not exist. So yeah, I was happy to get out of there, and at a young age, you know, it's just ready to see the world and take it on, you know, and they provided that opportunity, and I'm forever grateful to the Marines for that. They were happy, my family, but they were also, you know, sad because, you know, it was one of those situations where they're losing their, like, I was the only son, and I grew up with a house full of women. So props up to my mama, especially from where we come from. And we're coming from a place where we used to dig for change in a couch for hot dogs or chili and things like this, you know, to eat. My mom was working like 3 jobs just to, you know, put food on the table. But the craziest things about it, like I tell everybody now, is that, you know, we were happy. We didn't know we were poor, if you know what I mean. So it's like one of those feelings. Like I remember specifically when I was like 12 years old, I took like a hanger and I broke off the top part, and I got like a bunch of tape from the store. I saved up a bunch of pennies and went to the store and bought some tape, and I tried to make my own boomerang. So I was wrapping all the tape around and putting in great work, and I felt so good about myself, and I went out back and threw it, and it didn't go anywhere. It just went straight down. I guess it was like one of my biggest failures of my life, my first one. So my Discovery Channel was watching like some wasps on our window. The window was right here, and they started building their nest like right here. And I watched it when this thing was like super tiny to get to like this big, and I was just watching it inside, because you can see them all like moving around and working it, going everywhere and biting the edges, and building it, and it was so cool. And then you saw the queen was in the middle and she was doing all her larvae, and could see them like come home at night and they go on the outside and do their whole thing. Then they all start going inside, and it was pretty dope. And then I got in trouble because I didn't let nobody know there was a gigantic wasp nest on my window. So yeah, they came and took it down, and then, you know, that was it. So yeah, but I grew up around the military. I wouldn't say it necessarily influenced me. I don't know. I just always had that bug. Like, for instance, when we had these window blinds, the white ones. It's a roll and you gotta pull it down. I always used to draw tanks and planes on it and military guys, and I had like a big ass war going on in my wall, so that's what I fell asleep to. It's kind of crazy when I think about it. Like a 6-year-old kid drawing military planes and tanks shooting at each other, and that's what I'm going to sleep to as I look, you know, drift off. And I remember I used to look out my window and I used to see the air show. That's how I watched the air show, because Hope Air Force Base was just like around the corner. They'd be coming up over the trees and I get so excited and stuff, and it was awesome. I always wanted to be a pilot. That was my original thing, i.e. Air Force. But I have bad eyes. Didn't quite work out. I wouldn't say I was too broken up about it at the time. I'm probably more broken up about it now than back then, because I just wanted money and I wanted to get out of Fayetteville. So, bro, I remember specifically when I first got off the plane in Japan. You know, it's a feeling. Unless you truly see it, it's hard to understand. Where you look and you can't understand anything, and you know there's no chance. Like, for instance, if you go to like Mexico or something, you can kind of associate the vocabulary. If they say agua, you know that's like water. You put two and two together. But in Japan, yeah, it's kind of over for you. Kanji's like all over the place, so it's like complete culture shock, because they drive on the left side of the road too. But I mean, you know, like anything in life, you can get used to it. You can get used to anything. Let me try to remember now. This was 20 years ago. They're actually kind of a blur, because I was doing a lot of drinking. We'll get up at 5 in the morning, then we'll go do PT, which PT is like physical training, where you're running around and doing pull-ups and sit-ups and, you know, just getting real buff, you know, and getting ready for war. Hoorah. But it was just all that good stuff, you know. And then you just, after that, you get back from PT, you take a quick shower, get all ready for work, then you go back downstairs, you get in formation. You know what? As I was talking to you just now, I noticed that the Marines did a lot of head counts, like prisons. So I just made me think of it. Like, you go to PT, they do a head count. After you get out of PT, you take a shower, you come downstairs, they do a head count. Go to work, you do all that stuff, and typically sometimes before you get off work, you do a head count. So you're making sure nobody escapes.
Marines get lost a lot.
Yes, yes they do. Yes, yes. Speaking of that, when I was in Japan, we had a operation. What was it? Operation Crocodile something. Anyway, we went to Australia. That was freaking awesome, dude. That was the first time I ever got on a ship. Again, Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I never even rode a public bus, to now I'm on a plane, getting shot overseas, and now I'm on a military ship in the Pacific Ocean, surrounded by battleships. This is freaking crazy. This is sick, man. So we went down to Australia. Oh, Australia. Remember, I said I always remember that when I was a kid. So that was like... So we get to Australia, and we go there and do our little exercise and stuff. When we were leaving, they couldn't find like 3 Marines. 3 Marines just decided, hey, I'm just gonna hang out over here and not go back with you guys. And we literally left without these guys. I don't know if they ever got found again or what happened, but yeah. Hey man, that accent will get you. I actually was about to get out the Marines in Japan, and I actually re-enlisted. But some, you know, there's always some person who's not doing their job correctly, and I guess this person messed up my paperwork somehow. Something happened. You know, it all worked out, but somebody messed up, so they had to do my paperwork again. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm doing my paperwork. Everything's all good. my mom calls me, and then she was like, well, you should look into contracting. And I was like, contract? I didn't even know what contracting was. I didn't even know the military employed civilians. So that was a whole new thing to me. And she was like, oh, well, they're hiring a bunch of people in Iraq. And I was like, so you want me to go to war? So I was like, this makes no sense. But then she told me they're paying $80,000. I was like, oh, okay, let's check this out. I write this guy. He writes me back immediate, like not even 2 seconds. It was the fastest reply email I ever got in my life. And it was like, yeah, we're gonna set you up, we'll get you back here, and then we're gonna get you rocking. That was a whole crazy thing. I get back to North Carolina and hang with my family for like a couple weeks or so. And they shipped me off to Houston, Texas. That's where they were doing processing at this time. I'm not gonna say the name because, you know, that's the whole situation. I don't care about. I just don't want no problems. Wait, you can beep it out, but you can know. It's called. That's the company I was working with at that time, and it was like, that was freaking crazy, man, because they were pulling people off the street. Like, bro, sorry, I'm getting intense here. Like, we're about to go to Iraq and help our soldiers with support of any whatever job they gave us in Iraq, a war zone, and they're pulling people off the street because they got such a big contract and they need people now. I was in there in my class of my training with people who was homeless like the day before, the night before. Like, they didn't even get the change. Like, it was crazy. They were just going out in Houston, just pulling all kinds of people, man, just snatching them up, piling them into the building, pushing them in. Not everybody went through, because some people popped on the drug test, which was always kind of funny, because when people popped on the drug test, they're just like a big black van that pulls up in front of the door, and then you have people walking out like the Chain Gang. It's just so he was like, oh, okay, I guess they were smoking. So yeah, it was wild, dude. They just pushed us all through. Like, hey, here's a gas mask. This is how you do this. You take this tape and wrap it around your hands in case you get a biological attack. I was like, where the fuck did I get myself into? I was thinking, am I sure I want to do this? They gave us this big yellow paper plastic bag to put on us in case you get chemical attacked, and some rinky-dinky masks like somebody used for painting. And they gave us that, like the vest. I sent you a picture with the vest. They gave us that vest, and like, okay, you're good. Now let's teach you what to do if you get captured. It's like, oh my god. Keep in mind, this is 2004, when all hell was breaking loose in Iraq. If you get captured, just give your name, rank, serial. Don't give them any more information. It wasn't updated that these people are cutting your heads off. Like, there is no escape. So it was like, well, if they come in and capture you, just sit there and don't fight. Just don't say anything. Just cooperate with your captives. And I immediately had in my mind, like, I am not going to cooperate if it came to that. It's just going to be it. Because I refuse to let somebody cut my head off. Like, for instance, in my mind, I put it in my mind multiple times. If I ever was captured, and if they was ever about to try to cut my head off, I'm just gonna keep kicking over the camera. Like, I don't care what's gonna happen, but you're not gonna get the shot of the day on me. So, but that was in my mind. I was like, whatever happens, I'm just gonna keep kicking and keep trying to find the camera and make their life as hard as possible. But, you know, like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. When you get out the Marines, they give you an exit interview, and they tell you, like, well, you need to let us know if there's anything wrong with you or something like that. You know, I'm a young kid. I think I was like 23, something before. Not sure. Can't remember. But I was young. And I didn't know nothing about nothing. So when I'm getting out and they said, do you have anything wrong with you? It was like, well, just so you know, if there's something wrong with you. We're going to have to hold you here, and we're going to have to correct that issue before you can go. So I'm about to go to Iraq, make $80,000 and work overseas. And you're telling me you're not going to let me go if I tell you anything is wrong with me. I was in the Marines. There is something wrong with me, I promise you. But I'm not staying here. So I told him, no, I'm good. I'm not going to go. And now that's biting me in the butt. You try to get your benefits later. It just doesn't work out because you said you were healthy. They said you were perfectly healthy when you left. Now my foot's falling off. I got problems in my legs. My hips are bad. And my back is jacked up. But it's all good. Just everything with the hips. It's just mostly from the bag. Like when you do the ruck marches, when you have the really big bag on, and those bags are super heavy. So I'm flat-footed. Just something with my bones is just, over time, they just started deteriorating. I mean, I try to ignore it. I'm like 40 years old now, so yeah, they're starting to show their wear and tear. I remember one time, we were doing a ruck march, and I had a really big bag on the horse. I had my M16, which is stupid heavy. Those new guys with those little light, small weapons, crying with their scopes. I sound like a bitter old man. We had our M16s, and then on top of that, I had the 240 Golf, which is a machine gun. And this thing is heavy. So I had both of these, carrying them in my bag. And I remember specifically crying, but not crying. It's like your body was so hurt that your soul started crying. It was just tears just coming out. And I didn't know why, because it wasn't like, oh, I'm so sad or hurt. And no, it was just, you know, I can't even describe it. And then we just walking, singing a song. Like, hardy, 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 hardy. For the very first time I entered Iraq space, we're on the plane. We're just on this little white plane. The company I was working for had a white plane, like a 737, all white, and it's called a Freedom Bird. Anything that flies in the military is called a Freedom Bird, if it can take you home. It could be a helicopter, it's called a Freedom Bird, doesn't matter. So we called it a Freedom Bird, and there was a Russian pilot. This dude was the craziest pilot I ever flew with. So we're coming into Balad, Iraq, right? So we're coming in like this, and we can kind of see the airport and the base down here. And by the way, Iraq is beautiful, dude. It's like beautiful country. It really sucks that there's a war going there. Afghanistan too. It's amazing. The mountains in the back, but I digress. Anyway, you can see it, it's so beautiful, and there's farm fields around, and you see the base, and then the plane just looks like it starts going in circles like this. I'm like, holy crap, everybody's holding on to their seat, like, because we didn't know about combat landings. No civilian really knows about that, so we just like are totally sideways. I'm staring at the ground. I could literally see the shadow of the plane. And usually you don't see that until you get really close, but I'm like looking at the ground, I'm like, oh, this is so freaking scary. And then he came in, landed perfectly, literally saved my life later, which we're going to get to. But he landed the plane, and we got to their taxi gate, we got in there, and as soon as they opened the door, incoming, 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 we're on a freaking plane. The guy comes on the plane, he's like, everybody just stay here, do not move. On a tin can thing full of jet fuel. Yeah, this is exactly where I want to stay. And I was like, well, hey, this is going to be a quick tour of Iraq. And so we had incomes coming in, you could hear them like, that's all you hear. You don't really see anything, you just hear it. That's my first mental fuck of getting to Iraq. Like, welcome to Iraq. Some of the people on the plane didn't even get off. They went right back. It's open contract. So, but with the open contract, it also means they can do the same thing to you. They could just tell you, bye. We don't need you no more. nobody's really trained for incoming. Like real incoming, you can train all you want, but there's a difference when you know somebody's actively trying to kill you. So that's not the same. After we got off the plane, the other shocking part was how hot it was. It's like stepping out of the plane and then you just had incoming. You step outside, you get hit with like 130-degree heat. It's like the best way. If you ever want to know what it feels like in Iraq, grab a hairdryer, turn it on high heat, and hold it out from your face and blow it on yourself, and you'll know exactly what it feels like to like be in Iraq. And it's not an exaggeration. It's very hot. So as we're walking down the stairs, and I'm just trying to get my breath and get adjusted, I'm like, you don't know what's going on, because they just flew you from Houston to Dubai, and then you went from Dubai to went to Kuwait, and then we went to Kuwait to Iraq. So we just got here. I'm super tired. You don't know what's going on, and you're just trying to get through the day. So it was a big shock in itself, but it was also kind of cool. This is Iraq, man. Like, I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I'm in Balad, Iraq. So it's crazy. So I was gonna see it through regardless. But yeah, they took us over to like the PX, and the PX is like a shopping center where you can go and buy clothing and stuff, some foods and things like this. It's like a big ass Walmart for the military. Let's put it like that. The guy who took us to the PX, he told us that a couple days ago they had incoming at the PX, and the thing that happened was there was a bunch of people out there. I think they had like a grand opening or something. I can't quite remember, but it was a lot of people there. And they had incoming. So it's like if we're talking right now, we're talking, all you hear is incoming. It's totally shocking. You're not prepared for it, you're not ready. So that came on with those people there, and the incoming came in, hit behind the PX, a rocket or whatever it was, a mortar, I'm not sure. Probably was a mortar, because that's all they mostly shot, because those jerks would freeze the mortars and then run away, and then they'll shoot off later. So the mortar hit behind the PX, and the people got scared, so they ran in the PX. Next mortar comes in, it hits the PX, but the PX is a hard structure, meaning it's made of stone, so it didn't really do much damage. And the people, in the normal people's psyche mind, nobody wants to stay under a building when it's getting hit. That's just the normal mind of an average citizen. The people got the bright idea to run back outside. And as soon as they ran outside, another mortar hit right there. So yeah, it's pretty bad. And you could see the holes still in the wall. And I remember getting there, and I'm a curious person. I remember looking at the walls, and I was just so curious. Just imagining like, wow, and just feeling bad, because these are just a lot of the people who got killed that day was just normal people, not military, and they were just trying to make money, and they got promised $100,000, $200,000, and they never get to spend it. That's sad. That's Iraq, man. That's war. I seen a guy who was on your show before, and he was a contractor. He was like a military contractor, more military than I was. I was more of a support contractor. My job was to make sure our roads were clean. So they paid me, get this, they paid me $80,000 to watch people sweep the streets in Iraq. They wanted to make sure they didn't get too muddy. So I was a labor foreman, and I was walking around with these people. Like, I ain't gonna say these people, that's very rude of me, I'm sorry. They were Filipino guys, and I also had some Indian guys. So I had like a mixed crowd of like 12 guys. They were great guys, fantastic. Some of the friendliest people you meet on this earth. I love them to death. But these guys, they were hilarious. But yeah, they get out our truck, and I follow behind them, and we're just basically just getting the dust off the side of the street. And it's kind of weird sweeping the street in Iraq. I guess they needed the street to be clean, so when tanks drive or whoever drives at night, they can see what's going on. But yeah, we had to sweep the streets. If we got mortars incoming and things like that, we had to take some cement out there and patch up the holes and stuff, so we don't have like potholes all over the place. I patched too. Teamwork makes the dream work, But it's really true. You know, everything I've seen that's successful in this world was always a team. I wanted to make this, you know, if I'm gonna clean streets, I'm gonna make these the cleanest streets I ever seen. So I was actually pretty proud of our work, though. It's like we sweep the streets and get it done, and then, you know, it's like, wow, this is pretty good. I didn't protect anybody because in Iraq, I was an unarmed combatant. My company didn't allow us to carry weapons. Typically, the guys who carried weapons got paid pretty handsomely, and they deserve it. Those guys are in some harm's way. Then you have other contracts that's like, she got paid okay, more than the States, more than North Carolina. So we got paid pretty well. And yeah, I helped them patch up the holes. I helped them do different things. We had to do sandbags. So, by the way, remember the guy you talked to a while ago? He was talking about how Iraq is pitch dark at night. 1000% true. You can't see shit. But the sky is super freaking beautiful, bro. I cannot describe it. It's super beautiful. One night, we're driving home, and I have like this bus, and I got all my guys in the back. You know, they're laying back, getting sleepy. So I'm driving on our base is like this. Just think of the base like a triangle or a square. See, Marine, and the outside is the outside road. So we're driving on the outside going back to our base, and I'm driving a bus, and off in the distance I see a light. It's just a small speck, like a little light. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I was like driving, the light's just pointing straight at me, and I'm like, what the heck is that? I was like, I thought it was a UFO. I literally thought I was seeing a UFO. I was like, dude, this is about to be sick. And then I see the light like pointing like this, and then the lights just starts going like this, swinging back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm looking harder, and I see a big barrel from a A1 Abrams coming directly at my bus. The M1 Abrams is a tank. I doubt that bus would have made that tank even do a hiccup. I nearly crapped myself as I turned the bus off the road, barely missing the Abrams as a tank column's going through, and the tank commander's on top like yelling at me, as he drives by. I'm like, dude, I cannot see you. Nobody briefed me that there's gonna be A1 Abrams on this road at the middle of the night. Nobody told us stuff. So I was not prepared, and that was my first almost death in Iraq. From the M1 Abrams running over my little bus that I was driving with my guys at night. That would have been bad. The living situation was actually pretty cool, except during the daytime, because it got so hot that if you had anything in there that wasn't like, I don't know, heat resistance, it melted. Melted chocolate looks really weird when it comes back together, and then you eat it, gets like white spots all over it. And I was always nervous to eat it. I was like, is this okay, man? So I kind of left chocolate alone when I was in Iraq, because I remember I bought a Twix. I opened it up and it looked like a freaking cheetah. So I was like, no, I'm not eating this. If you touched any type of metal, yeah, you're gonna burn real fast. And that's the worst part, when you get in your car and you don't know when your elbow accidentally hits that belt buckle, you get that little sizzle real quick. Yeah, that was Iraq. The sand in Iraq, it's like powder. It's baby powder. It's not like regular sand. I never seen anything like this anywhere else I've been. It's like if you step on it, it's like, oh, it's so crazy. It's like you're Godzilla creating big paths. So, you know, sandstorms were pretty easy. All you needed was just a little bit of wind, just kick it up, and then you're sucking all that in, which you'll probably pay for later. But you know, that's another story. Actually, some people are actually coming out right now that are having effects from back then, because you had the sand, and then the military was doing a lot of burning at the burn pits and stuff, and all that stuff just sweeping over the base into your beautiful lungs, and you're sucking it all in. You're just like, ugh, it stinks today. You don't know in 20 years you're gonna be struggling. I know people who are having breathing problems, things like that. And I read stories also online where some people are trying to make lawsuits because of the burn pits and things like this. It's like a really becoming a bigger issue now because, you know, things like that, you don't see it right away. It comes later. I got done with the street sweeping job. Me being stupid. I was stupid. I wanted to make my resume better, you know, because I had to be the big guy on campus. I couldn't just be happy. I gave myself more headaches. I took a job as a quality inspector. Quality inspector is just I go around and I check the bridge, you know, to make sure it's sturdy and, you know, as people stand on it, it's not going to fall off. Make sure the wood is perfectly like separated, you know, nails are where they're supposed to be, and making sure this bridge is made to manufacturer specifications. Just basically, that's all I did, going around checking everywhere, things like that. As I got this job, I did a lot of traveling. So that's when I got to go up to Al Asad Air Base, and I did my checks up there, made sure everything is good, met with the managers and everything like that. As we're flying back to Balad, well, it ain't the Freedom Bird because we're not being free, so it's just a plane to me this day. We're going back to Balad, and we're flying, but that day we had a sandstorm. So we're flying, we're going around. You can see the base kinda through little cracks and stuff. Like you see it, and you're like, okay, we're flying. And then after the sandstorm started clearing out, they cleared us to land. We started going lower. And we stopped, started circling again. They got incoming. Can't land a plane when you have incoming. Maybe that's a new rule, I don't know. But this day, we did not land because we had incoming. So maybe it was like at the airport, they didn't want to risk it. We're circling again. Keep in mind, we didn't have enough gas for this type of flight. So we're still going around. And then as we start going lower to try to land again, they tell them there's fog. We have fog now. So we're going around again. We're going to wait to see if some of this fog go away. He left Balad and we went somewhere else. I don't know where we went. I think we went to a place called Talil, Iraq. So it was like kind of further south. So we're coming into Talil. Talil's freaking foggy too. We don't have no more gas. The captain came on the freaking speaker and said, we're low on fuel. We have to land this plane right now. And we're only going to be able to do it in 1 or 2 passes. So he kind of just let us know, like, we might be screwed over here. That's a really chilling message, you know, like you really are getting yourself like this might be it. You don't want to believe it, but you know, it just might be, you know. So we're coming into Talil and he's going down. So as we're coming down, I'm looking out the window because I'm on the right hand side, like the wing is right here and I'm a little bit behind it, so I'm just looking at the wing. As we're landing, I'm looking out the window and I can see something going by. I can't tell if it's a tree or not because I was thinking we can't be that low yet. That's my just knowledge of airlines and airplanes. I was like, I don't think we're that low yet, but we could possibly be. So I see something like going by, and it's going faster and faster. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? We had a very low ceiling, which means the fog starts here and the runway's here. So this part is clear, but you had to get under that to be able to see. So as soon as the plane came out of the fog into the clearing, I could literally see both sides of the runway. And that's not good. If you can see both sides of the runway, you're not on the runway. So I'm watching the runway on this side. I'm like, oh my god, literally my heart. The feeling I had was like, that's the best way I could describe it. There is no words for that. That's the only, I was like, and then, you know, I see that we're probably about to hit dirt because he don't have much. Like I said, I've always been in a plane, so I knew when the position that we were, we didn't have much time at all. So we go sideways like this. I could see the wingtip on the runway, like it's touching the runways like sparks. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to die in a plane crash. That's the first thing in my mind. I was like, this is freak. I went to Iraq and died in a plane crash. Like, dude. I mean, it's not like you get to pick and choose, but you know, blaze of glory, man. Freak. So yeah, the plane wing is on the ground, and then the plane starts like about somersaulting, and then he jerks it back this way, and then we just like it straightens out. And he stops it right at the edge before it went off the runway. The craziest thing about like a plane crash, like landing, when it's like a really bad one, like a really bad, is nobody said anything. I thought there was going to be people like freaking out, screaming, and nobody said a word. It was quiet as a mouse. It's like everybody just like, okay, I guess this is it. The wing was like bent like this. Like that plane wasn't flying over, dude. He had to land that plane, and he knew we had no more gas. Under the conditions he landed it in, it's just spectacular. Low visibility, low ceiling. I don't know what happened, because typically there's, as far as I know, there's like a beacon that glides you in, but I'm not sure what happened. Maybe it was off that day or whatever, or something happened. Who knows? It's Iraq. As I turned and looked around, you know, I saw ladies crying. I saw dudes crying. People were really broken up over this, man. A lot of people were distraught after the fact, once that adrenaline started coming down. One thing about war is it teaches you that the world will always turn. If I got hit right now, disappeared, this snow doesn't stop falling, Peter don't stop staring. Now everything is gonna keep moving, and you just have to deal with that. I left Balad, and the bad part about Balad is like when I got to Balad, Iraq, we called it Mortar City, and it earned that name because it was mortars constantly, all the time. It's mortars coming in. Before I was about to leave Balad, it stopped. So they put in like a pool, they put in Baskin Robbins, they put in like, we were talking about putting in a Chili's down there, like a big restaurant where you can go and eat like steak and potatoes and hamburgers and popcorn in the movie theater. They had nachos in the movie theater. They had like a karaoke place you could go to, Green Bean, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, all this on this little base. So now I'm getting sent to Baghdad. Camp Victory was pretty cool. There was a lot more people there. They also had karaoke and things like that. So hold on. My little man was crying. Oh, my little baby has a cold, man. He got slight congestion. Yeah, he's 2 years old, so it's like he always gets super scared. At least I do. I have like so much fear. You don't want to think the worst, but it always like pops in, and you like try to throw it out again, and it pops back in, and you throw it out again. You don't ever want to think that, because you don't want it to bring to fruition and things like this. It's a constant fight. Okay, so I got to my new location, and everything was good. I was working there for a while. The mean guys, I don't want to say that terrorists or whatever, just the guys who were trying to kill us, they always seem to love to attack at like 2 or 3 in the morning. So you be sleeping, dead sleep, like knocked out, and you hear, incoming, 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 incoming. That's the C-RAM going off now. And this thing shoots like so many rounds. It looks like Star Wars, and it just follows like the mortar or the missile as it comes in. It's super sick. You should get on the ground, but human nature, if somebody sees something like that, they're gonna look up because it looks so freaking cool. You know, sometimes they left us alone, especially when it was like foggy. It was foggy, or not foggy, but like a sandstorm. Typically you didn't get an incoming, so it's pretty cool. They actually had that day off, so you knew you might sleep good that night. I felt decently safe, but again, it's Iraq. For instance, a little bit outside of our compound was like a tent area, and in that tent There was a soldier who was in there. He was doing bench presses. So he was lifting his weight. A stray bullet came over the gate, went past there, went into the tent, hit him in the neck while he was doing bench press. So you just never know when it's your time. And it was his time, sadly. You know, it's just one of those things. So that's one of those things that reminds you that you're never too far from the danger. It kind of wakes you up like, oh, you're getting a little too comfortable. You need to wake up and remember where you're at. So it's one of those situations. In Iraq, you're never far away from the danger. That's just what it is. So if you go there and you try to work, you can die. And that is the real thing. People are really dying there. And contractor deaths don't quite get bored like that. So, your family might know, so that's good. But you're not gonna be a hero. As for to everybody else, you're just a person trying to use the military for money and things like that. When I got back home and I was in the free world, the trash truck dropping the dumpster used to freak me out. If I heard any noise that sounded like a C-Ram, or even if there's a voice that sounds like the first part of the incoming, if I hear a tone that sounds like that, you know, it triggers you. I didn't sleep well. I remember one time I was sleeping and my girlfriend came in. I remember waking up barely, and all I saw was a black shadow. And I immediately grabbed her arm, and I was just about to react. But then I remembered, you're not in Iraq. You're not in Iraq. And I scared the shit out of her. I scared the shit out of me too. It's just one of those things. I know for the longest time, and I'm just now kinda getting over it, I used to shit my pants every time a plane, not literally, but every time a plane was landing, I would like have a heart attack. I would like grab my seat and just freak out, and just more than when I did when I was actually in a real plane crash. So, but now I'm starting to get over it, but it's still in me. Like, my heart starts beating really fast every time we start landing, and even though you know everything's okay, it's just worse thoughts.
How did you end up living in Germany?
After I got out, I was thinking it's either going to be Australia, back to Japan, or Germany, because a lot of the military guys were telling me about Germany. And Germany sounds pretty cool, like why not? And I never been there. I just went straight to Germany, went to Berlin. I just never looked back, man. Like, Germany was awesome. And started having fun in Berlin, and meeting new people and partying. Dude, I partied with so many stars. It is freaking ridiculous. like I remember one day I was at the club drinking in Berlin. You know, just drinking with my friend who I met there. His name is Van Tel. It's like my big brother. He's like a DJ there. And we're drinking, and well, I'm drinking. He don't really drink, so I was doing my thing. And freaking Little John comes in. Like, holy crap, dude. And he comes in here with the East Side Boys. You know, this is when like Little John, I'm not sure people are aware of him, but he was like really big back in the day. But he's came in with the East Side Boys. They just had a concert, you know. They got everything for them back there and stuff. And I was like, holy crap, this is freaking Little John, dude. And the first thing he wanted, that made me laugh so bad, like he wanted some KFC chicken. So I was like, dude, really, out of everything, that's what you want when you first come here? Okay, cool. But they were really cool guys, man. You would think they were like all crazy and hype all the time. Now they were really chill, dude. They were really awesome. Started to learn German a little bit. I mean, I love Germany, man. And plus with Germany, you have Spain, you have Greece, you have Italy, Poland, Sweden. You're surrounded by like history. It's so insane, dude. Go to Normandy, you can went to what's that place called? One of the concentration camps. And that was an eye-opener. So So yeah, it got so many things here, man. It's just, and the reason I didn't go to Australia was because it's in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, dude, if I ever want to travel, I'm gonna have to pay an arm and a leg to get off of that continent. So I was like, I don't know about that.
Why do you avoid the word terrorist?
I mean, as you start thinking about it after the war dies down and you get away from fighting, you can actually process, like, you understand, like, the strife that they were going through and things like that. Not saying being sympathized and things like that. What they're doing was messed up. They're terrorizing people and being bullies. So whenever there's a bully, you send in the Marines and they'll tame your bully. But yeah, they were being bullies, but at the same time, you know, you see the way they were living and you see the things they had to go through. Is that person now a terrorist? You know? So that's why I don't like using that word. I think a terrorist is kind of different. That's just what it was, man. They wanted people to make an example out of, so they can scare the people out of their country, which, you know, ain't much you can say on that. You're not gonna scare the United States out of this country by kidnapping some random Joe Smo that they don't care about and cutting his head off. They'd be like, oh, we'll pray for him and his family. Okay, let's go on our next patrol. So it was just a weird situation, man. But I don't regret it. I learned so much from all those experiences to make me who I am today. You're probably the first person I really actually had a chance to just lay it out there with, you know? Like, these are the type of things I would tell a therapist if I talk to. I can't tell my mom. I can't go to my mom and be like, hey, I almost got freaking Swiss cheese, man. What do you think of that? You didn't give her a heart attack, dude. Unless it was somebody that was there in Iraq and actually experienced that. You can't really conversate with them. Like, I seen people who didn't even know each other in Iraq, and as soon as they find out he's in Iraq, you're in Iraq, they have like a 2-hour-long conversation. You all have something in common. You all got scared together. Like, there was plenty of times. Let me give you an idea. I'm gonna give you a perfect example of why I think everybody who went to Iraq has PTSD. In Iraq, I was sleeping in my bed, and you have your Kevlar, the flak vest, to stop like bullets and stuff. You put it behind your head, like on your bed, just in case. You never know if something hits there. That way it protects your head. Maybe, who knows? But better than nothing. But you're laying in your bed, 3 in the morning, you hear the incoming sound. And you're just looking up at a dark ceiling. And you hear the incoming. Incoming. And that messes with you. You know, you're so terrified inside that you don't even know you're terrified.
If you could tell everybody in the world one thing, what would it be?
If I could tell anybody one thing in this world, it's love, man. True, like love for one another, and love for all mankind, and womankind. Alright, dude, I appreciate you, man. Have a good one and stay safe.